So as you might have seen from that little bit of a time lapse that I did at the start, I have been AFKing here, and I've only been able to do that because of some modifications made to the geode here that resides under what was once Victoria's base. And now I have the ability to just get polished amethyst automatically as much as I'd like, as much as I'm residing in this area. I believe, honestly, as long as it's chunk loaded or as long as the server is up, this is automatically chunk loaded and it is automatically collecting amethyst shards. I'm not exactly sure how that works. I wish I was able to sift out specifics, because unfortunately this will actually eventually fill up with amethyst dust. So I actually do have to come out here every once in a while and clear out the top chest, as well as clearing out the bottom bundle down here, which, if you don't know, because of Spectrum, which is a mod that we have here in Regality, we're able to craft amethyst shards in a 3x3 pattern into polished amethyst blocks from Spectrum, and then of course crafting them back into amethyst shards and pulling them all back into my inventory and putting them straight into my own bottomless bundle, which I have on my person at all times. All of that to say that we are just collecting amethyst slowly and surely, and I believe one of the first things that I would like to do with all this amethyst that I have acquired is make some stuff to sell in some places. So obviously we have made some progress over here in spawn. As you can see, there's a big empty plot now in the back here and created through our lovely Vince bars. And I was also able to create a lovely building here, at least a facade of a lovely building. There's nothing actually inside any of these parts yet. I am not fully done with these. I'm waiting on one of the mods to be added to the pack, which will allow us to create a little bit more fine detail in certain areas with the use of very helpful copycat blocks, and we will see the progress that I'm able to create and make these little areas look a little bit nicer. That's my hope, is that the next time that you guys actually see this building, it'll actually look a lot better. Obviously, it doesn't look that bad as it is now. I mean, if you just squint your eyes a little and tilt your head, it looks great. But other than that, I mean, it's not too bad. So what I'm thinking is that although I do have these buildings here, and I have my lovely and glorious cave down here, hidden away, looking all menacing down there. It's beautiful. We actually don't have anything akin or similar to a shop for ourselves. Now, this area seems to be reserved for tinier shops. I think that's just naturally how people have built around. Obviously, the create shops are the biggest ones. The create buildings as well are the ones that are taking up the most space. But then all the little shops around here, they're taking up a lot of space. There's also the pet shop, or what will be the pet shop eventually once it's complete, I believe. That is taking up quite a bit of space. There's also, now I was given some special information, and I believe one of these books is supposed to, it's supposed to open up a secret passageway here in the brewery store. And of course, going down very menacingly, I love me a good slow elevator, as much as the next guy, believe me. But down here, there's not a whole lot going on down here, and I believe that's by design, because although it is not yet complete, just behind this wall, which will eventually be magically interacted with and gotten through, is another passageway to an even further cave deeper down in the depths. And this is where I'm told is going to be a shop expanse for very particular shops. And it looks like there's some building going on over here. I believe that's meant to be a fossil or something of that nature. I'm not entirely sure. Looks like a large piece of candy, potentially. Not really sure. But this whole area down here will, I think, eventually be made up to look really cool, and I am excited to see what ends up becoming of this area. If you actually come down here, you can actually see the arena from here. It's very funny. It's very funny when it is kind of just poking out of the cave like that. So But there's not much down here, so I think I could definitely see myself placing a shop here, but I don't particularly want to do it there just yet because it's not really developed as much as I would like it to be. And obviously, you know, a developed area is a more trafficked area, and for this shop, I specifically want it to be well trafficked. So I think, honestly, this main road isn't really a bad place to put it. And there is a spot right in front of the end shop, next to 90s, next to Relic's shop, that is down here. And honestly, I'm kind of wanting to put something down right here. I won't make it as generic of a building as that, and I don't think I'm gonna do as stylized of a building like these, taking off in the footsteps of Victoria, who once created a shop that sold size charms. Now, size charms are cool, but I don't think they're as useful anymore, at least for the time being, as flight charms. And flight charms are something that at least I use to get up and around, and hex casting is extremely powerful in that regard, that you can just create a flight out to a certain radius based on, you know, how much media you pack into the spell. It's kind of ridiculous, but it is extremely useful, and I know a lot of people have been dying to be able to use those trinkets in their shops, and I believe we could pretty easily do it if we just do a little bit of setup. So the setup is what we'll have to do. Now, I've already got a huge barrel of ciphers, and because these aren't stackable, I kind of just have to put them in there. I think, I don't know, I think I can put these in bottomless bundles. It just removes any spells that are on it, or it treats it like the same one. I don't know, and I don't really want to test that out, because if I end up losing trinkets and ciphers to bottomless bundles, then that's kind of not great. Now, due to my extensive knowledge in hexcasting, I would be able to automize this process pretty easily. It's not that difficult to create a spell that creates more spells through trinkets and casting and such, and I honestly think that it would be fairly easy to get a shop up and running in the next few days or so. Now, I'm gonna be completely real with you guys. Unfortunately, this will be recorded and uploaded before the 1-year anniversary of the server, which I will not be attending because I will actually be out of state. So if you want to check that out, please do not hesitate to join the Discord. I'll link it in the description. I'll link Blueben's Twitch because I know he's probably going to be streaming it or maybe recording it. I'm not entirely sure, but regardless, the event of the 1-year anniversary, I will not be able to attend. I'm going to go ahead and make a bunch of trinkets, make a bunch of spells. I'm going to try and see if I can make a few different levels of flight and make it so that you're kind of not getting your whole money's worth. And, you know, that's kind of the whole point of the profit game, is to make it so that people have to rely on your trinkets a little bit more. See, because unfortunately, a very sneaky and honestly kind of scam artist thing that I can do with this is that I can pack it with just enough media to get maybe 1, maybe 2 uses out of it, just so that, you know, you have to go back to the shop and you have to get more if you want to continue your flying. And then I could also make some that have 1 use of a wider range, but obviously that's 1 use, and I can make those so much more expensive. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done, and I'll see you guys in a second. All right, so I was able to actually build my shop. Unfortunately, where I originally wanted to place it is no longer viable because of how far it digs underneath the ground, and you'll see what that means in a moment. I wanted to originally place it here, and if I want to actually continue to place it here, I'll have to make it just a little bit smaller, and I'm not dealing with that. So I think it's be best if I just go ahead and choose an empty spot, and I honestly don't mind this area right here. It seems to be where a lot of the smaller shops are anyways. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that time lapse. As you can see, we have finished the shop build. It's obviously very, geode coded, and there's some chunks missing, and it looks very nice from all angles. As you can see, as you probably saw in that little bit of a montage, that we made 6 different trinkets, and we've got all 6 of them here. And you might not have seen what we were actually making them for unless I've already explained it. I could be explaining this twice, but I'll do it anyways. That the flight charm that we're making is, out to a certain radius when you click it, and you can basically just do creative flight within that radius. And it's super fantastic, and I absolutely love, the way that it functions, because it functions just so easily, and you can just click these, which I made them all rings, or like double rings shapes like these, and they all look very cool. Using the various different trinket patterns that hexcasting now gives is just fantastic. Obviously, these are a little bit pricey. Even though they grant creative flight in a limited range, they are still, creative flight. They don't expire unless you leave that range. So if somebody wants to build, for 10 hours for whatever reason in a 50 block radius zone, they can. And anytime they leave that zone, then they would have to reuse it, which is why these are all breakable and these aren't. So these I only made them in the 50 block variant because I wanted to make them like a little bit more pricey than the rest of them, because they are rechargeable as well. And also the fact that, recharging these costs a semi-decent amount of dust per item. I just kind of wanted to leave it in a way that, if I needed to recharge it, I would not have to recharge it as often, because people could just come to me at some point, or to a recharge station, which I plan on making at some point. Emphasis on at some point. I need to figure out the system for actually getting them to recharge it on their own without me having to be here, and we can always try and do something a little bit sinister with that system, but less on that for now. I think for now, the functionality of having it in place is more important than the sinister aspects that I could apply to it at a later point. And I must say the aesthetic of the geode is just so homely, and I absolutely love the amount of media that has been sprawling out of this geode as I've been building it. And in lore, that's what that is. It's just the fact that I'm in this area for any amount of time and the amethyst kind of just starts sprouting. It's just part of my lore as a character, that I've devolved myself into hexcasting so much that I just generate media because I'm exuding so much of it at any given point. For now, however, the shop is done and I'm about to open it. I'm probably not going to show it off to anybody else yet, and by the time you're seeing this video, I will be on vacation and unable to make any Regality content. So I will, let you know how my vacation goes after I get back. As for the rest of this video, that is pretty much all I have. If you'd like to go ahead and leave a comment for me, that'd be amazing. I do appreciate your interactions. Like and share with your friends, because as you know, I do enjoy making content, and maybe if you don't enjoy this content but you know somebody who might, why not go ahead and just give them a little pokey poke and let them know that I exist, because you never know what your friends might be into. And of course, if you do find yourself coming back here at any interval whatsoever, please do consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot and makes me want to continue making content, and I love making content, so any drive to continue making content is a good drive. So with all that out of the way, and I'll see you when I see you.